G'day everyone, bit of an update on where we're at with the Land Cruiser rebuild. Got the chassis here all redone, started to bolt a few things back to it, resealed the power steering box there, got all new tyre bars, track rods for the steering, all new bolts for all these arms. Most of these bolts have been either replaced or replated with zinc plating just so they don't corrode. Got new springs sitting in there front. Just got to adjust the wheel bearings, new brake discs, got new calipers going on. Got the front diff mounted in there, diff center with the lock. Just got to work out where that harness goes. That harness actually just clips onto the side of the front sway bar, which just hooks in here. Just got to sort out that wiring at the other end when I get it all hooked up. Got the new J-Max radius arms. And these are the old ones here. A bit of a clunk in the front. It's no wonder. The bushes are pretty rooted, both sides. That's supposed to be a bit more solid like that. Anyway, I didn't want to use caster correction bushes. I thought I'd just replace the arms with something decent. So I think they'll do the trick. What else we got there? I've got all new mounts for everything. So that's the transmission mount. I've got new engine mounts. Replace all the rubbers. All new cab mounts there. Just sitting on there ready to go. All 3 points. Should improve the comfort a little bit. All the old mounts are pretty much 20 years old, so probably 20 years old. 2005 model. So over the years the rubber goes hard and then it's just doesn't work the way it should as a vibration mount. The same goes for all your suspension bushes and that as well. Got the new springs in the back. Haven't tightened any of the springs or suspension stuff up yet. Wait till I get it sitting on its wheels and then tighten all that. Just got all this hanging there at the moment. Got the rear diff locker in. Same goes with the wiring there. Got some clamps off the old one where I got the harnesses from. Disc locks have got a little breather too, so to make sure that the diff lock breather is as high as the diff, I suppose, diff breather, so it doesn't get water in the locker if you go through deep puddles or rivers. What else we got there? Just had to go back to the standard length shackles here. You're actually not allowed to have extended shackles in WA. I don't know the reason why, but it doesn't really matter. Just go back to the standard length ones. They come from Superior. And then we've got the 3-inch lifted parabolics there anyway. So we're getting a lift from the springs instead of the shackles like we were last time. Tow bars all bolted back on. Just working out how this handbrake cable goes back in. Got all new park brake components all inside there. I'll actually probably take that off. There we go. All new park brake, both sides. So I just got to adjust these wheel bearings. button the axles back in. It's probably better to adjust them with the tyres back on later on, but I'll just still give them a initial adjustment now. I've got the new trail gear front wheel bearing adjusters. So they've got a little set screw that just goes in. You can probably see that there. Little set of set screws there. Go through the washer. So you set up your wheel bearing rolling torque, and once you set that, then you can put this washer on and the little set screws in, and that'll stop it from moving. Didn't have any trouble with the old setup, which is just a locking washer that you just pull over to stop the nut from moving. I didn't have any issues with it moving. Like last time I did it was probably like 20,000 Ks. When I removed it all, it was all fine. They hadn't moved, but I can see that there's a risk of them moving in the old style, so obviously come up with that for a reason, and I thought that was a good idea to put in. What have we got here? Extended pen hard rod. Need a longer one of them. I'll have to adjust all that later on. That's where's that from? Dobinson's. A bit more heavy duty than the other one, but yeah, when you start lifting it up, that needs to be longer, because obviously all this moves further away, so that needs to be longer to for the suspension to work and keep the diff sitting in the center of the vehicle, the axle housing, sorry. What else have we done? New gearbox mount. Obviously moved that bar there. Let's let them holes. That's where the old chassis brace went across. This is the new one. Had a lot of clips and things like that re-zinc plated. I'll replace those hoses as well. So once again, they've been in service for 20 years. Yeah, they're starting to get quite hard and stiff, so we'll put new hoses on there. So all nice and fresh. That's pretty much where we're at. What else have we got here? The brake lines, that's one more thing that'll work out, yeah. The old housing has the brake lines that this tab is only tucked back in there. So I just have to work that out, but I think it should be pretty simple, just getting a different clamp to push it back. Worst comes to worst, I just drill a hole further back here. Just knock that off there with the grinder. And bit of bodywork going on. New bonnet. New genuine bonnet to go in. And just working on some doors as well. Get them sitting back on the cab, and we'll sit the cab and all the front on the new mounts and get it all lined up, and then we can get that off to paint. While we're getting it painted, we will, while it's off getting painted, we won't have the engine and gearbox in it. I'll get the engine ready to go back in, engine and transmission. What else we got here? A new transfer case. So, you would have seen on one of the last videos there, the transfer case was cooked when I pulled it apart, so actually worked out to be only a few hundred dollars more to get a brand new transfer case than buy all the parts to fix that, so bought a new one. makes sense. Yeah, it's coming together. Got to modify a few things on the front here actually. This is where the intercooler mounts. Intercooler mounts in the front here, and we've got some spacers and a nut. So I'm thinking of just welding the spacer and the nut in, so I don't have to put a spanner on the back of it. It could just live in there. Ordered all new plastic clips for here and for all the headlights. What else did we order? There's a bunch of stuff up there. Parts. Oh, new brake booster, high powered brake booster. Yes. Shelf needs a bit of a clean up. There's a lot of shit laying around. Starting to get rid of a bit of it and bolting it, some of it back on. Oh, these are all the new brake lines. Got some braided brake lines and safe brake. Seem like pretty good quality. They're all labelled on where they need to go. These are the old ones. Once again, as you can see, that one's starting to crack up a bit and has had a bit of mechanical damage. If you can see that, I cut on that anyway. Place the brake lines, we have to anyway because we're lifting the car up, so they need to be, at least the ones that go from the axle to the chassis need to be longer. There's one that goes from there up to here. The proportioning valve. That's a exchange proportion valve that's been rebuilt by the place that supplies all the brake parts. Yeah, coming along quite well. That's about all the updates I've got at the moment. Hopefully we'll be back with you soon with something that looks a bit more like a car rather than just a chassis and some parts on the shelf. Today's mission to connect engine to transmission, and we'll try and get the sitting back in the chassis there. Shed is an absolute pigsty at the moment. That's all right. Once we get this these components back in, we can give her a bit of a tidy up. So initially, I've had to show you this. This little cover was fouling on the transmission case, so we had to just cut a little slot in there, just feathered that back a bit. Shouldn't be a real issue within 10 minutes actually go into the housing there, because we've got a bit of a slot there. Not going to be an issue there with that. So let's get that back on. Get that on the dowels. Can now bolt that back in there. You also just did some trimming on this little casting here, because we have to bolt the transfer case lever adapter down there, and that comes up, and it would foul on this otherwise. So we've got that there, and then moving around quite quick here. converter adapter, all these bolts, transfer case adapter. Got new transfer case in there, brand newy. What else have we done? Oh, we've also had to modify the rear plate. So this hole here, I had to cut that hole in there so we can get in and bolt the converter to the flex plate. And we'll probably make a little cover that goes over that, picks up on these two bolts here and just sits over that. Stop anything from getting in there, keep a little bit of dust out if we can. Dust and water. Just waiting on thermostat housing gasket. A little seal that goes around there on the tube that bolts on. You order a thermostat and it doesn't come with a gasket to change it, so it's just a bit annoying, but anyway. So new thermostat and gasket go in there. We bolted on the exhaust manifold, put new sealing rings in here because they tend to leak from there. What else did we do? Yeah, all new studs, nuts, gaskets on that. Still haven't decided or bought a turbo yet. Thinking either a UFI 21L or a G380 G turbo. So we'll work that out soon enough. We can bolt that in later on. What else did we do yesterday? New pulley on here, on the new water pump, new fan, new alternator, got the new crankshaft dampener. That's about it really. We've put plus 30 injectors in and all new injector pipes. We've also, in preparation for the auto conversion, we've put this on here, so we'll have to tee this pressure sensor into the factory boost pressure sensor line, because that'll be used to give the turbo Lamic a reference of inlet pressure, engine inlet pressure, and that uses that for the reference for torque calculation. So apparently that makes it easier to work out the torque that the engine's delivering and shift accordingly. What else? That's about it, I think. So we'll see if we can bolt her up, get it all sitting on there, and then get it in. All right, got the torque converter adapter, little spigot aligner there, bolted onto the converter, housing bolted on to the transmission. Some of the bolts they provided were a bit short, I had to get new ones for here. These ones were a bit long, so got some short ones for there. That's all right, got it all buttoned up and torqued. That's already there to go on, bolt in. Got a couple of dowels we'll line up, and yeah, we'll just get all nice and level with the engine crane here and get it on. Just chucking some grease on this. Just may help to get things aligned and smooth, a bit smoother to slide in. It's not really going to provide much lubrication, but when it's operating, but we'll use it to get us started. Okay. bad. Alright, it's enough to get a bolt started. Just hit me up on this dowel. Okay, here we go. See if this all mates up as it should. It's a 1HDFTE adapter for 8HP transmission. So all this should be machined and lined up to work with this engine and transmission combo. We've got the 100 series auto flex plate and flywheel balance weight, flyweight they call it. So main aim is to get it lined up, get it situated on these dowels, get the dowels in, get that spigot in, and then we should be all lined up, ready to go. So I might just grab another bolt on the top. Got the transmission bolted up now, so that's all good. Just went in through that hole to bolt the flex plate to the torque converter. That worked out alright in the end. Just had to take it back off and then just do opposite bolts and pull it in nice and square. Got this adapter all bolted up and torqued. The new transfer case is just sitting on there at the moment. To me, it looks like some of the bolts they've provided are a bit long. Maybe they're alright with washers on them. We'll check that out. We'll bolt it in without the transfer case because it actually mounts on the adapter, so that just bolts in under there, and then we can sit it all in and bolt the transfer case on afterwards. So that'll come up pretty good. The only other drama or annoying thing was the bolts they provided for bolting the adapter to the engine are too short, so they probably only sit by the time they sit on the recess like that. So another 10mm longer would be nice. You can sort of see it here actually on the starter. So just not enough meat there really to get hold of, so to find some new ones of them. But that's it. All set up. Lift it back into the chassis tomorrow. Got the engine and transmission off the stands, and see now we can lift it all in one go. It's going to be pretty hard getting across this clearance here, so I'm going to have to go in on an angle through this way. Also the legs on the crane get in the way a bit, but we'll see how it all goes. Get her bolted in. Yeah, I got it up over the chassis. Just. Now this engine crane is sitting on the radius arm there. Sitting about central in the chassis where it needs to go. It just needs to come forward probably, what's that, 300mm. So I'm thinking I might Just hook back up to the top up there, and basically hook it up about 300mm up there, and I'll get it pretty close and just daisy chain it off this onto the chain block. It should just pull it forward enough just to drop it in place. We'll see how we go with it. All right, straight out of the rigging handbook training video. Probably not. So we got this set up about 200mm forward. Measured it up, that's how far forward we're going to go with the engine. So what we'll do is we'll take the weight with that and daisy chain it off the engine crane. But before I can do that, I should have set this up on this ring before, but I've set it up here, so I've just got to drop the transmission down onto some blocks, reposition it'll come along here onto the chain ring, then we can daisy chain it back over. Probably should say don't do this at home, but I am at home, so that would be irrelevant. Let's see how we go. It worked. Okay, so what I did was I daisy chained it across, took a bit of weight. As I took the weight off the engine crane, the whole engine transmission just moved forward enough. Bolted that rear mount on, and then push it forward till it just dropped into the holes, and then essentially that was lined up enough to let the front engine down on the all new engine mount. So that worked pretty well. Quite happy with that. Only bit of damage that I incurred was a bit of a scratch on the painted sump, but it's all right, I can live with that. Very happy with that. Take all this rigging off and tighten it up, and that's engine in. So I've just got to put these braces on as well. Go underneath there. Just tuck in underneath it like that to the transmission to engine block. I was using this for the engine stand was mounted on there. Just one back here. So, we'll tighten it up. Very happy with that. Set the cab back on, and now we're just checking the clearance on the gear lever. So it's close, but that's basically just got a little bit of clearance there, which is fine, which is great. So we should be able to actuate the whole. It's worked out pretty good actually. Should be able to actuate the transfer case without issue there. So got the transfer case set up in 2 high at the moment, high 2 at that setting, so further is forward there. Now we can take the cab back off, extend that rod. We need to extend it by 40mm, and then we'll see if it all actuates the transfer case as expected. But yeah, I just wanted to check that clearance there. There's also a little clearance in here that I want to check. So just that rose joint down there, you can see it's pretty close to the tunnel. So that's all the way forward and all the way back, so it actually moves further away from the tunnel as I move it back. So that's all good. Happy with that. Today we've got to extend this little control rod for the transfer case. So, you know, we've picked up 120, maybe 150mm The 8HP is a little bit longer than the manual transmission. We've got that adapter and that adapter, so that's all extended this further out from in relation to the transfer case lever. So that means we need to extend this rod. So just got to take some measurements, extend this rod out to what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half roughly. Then we'll use a bit of this larger bar, drill a hole in each end to accept this, and then we'll weld each end to it to extend it the desired length. Now, the other thing is, I think we'll just drop the cab back on after we've done all this to make sure that this bracket has all been measured right. That's one I measured up and had made up, cut out at the laser cutters and then zinc plated, so it's easily changed if we're not quite in the right spot. But we'll get it on there and get the cab on there and see if it all works properly. The only other consideration here is with this, there's different ways you could do it. So it's bolted down the bottom, as you can see. There's a little bit of movement here. It's probably okay, but what I'm thinking is I will just tap this hole, put a little bit of a thread in there, then fill it with a aluminium putty, and then we can drill a smaller hole in there, probably the same size as that. What's that, M8? 8 mil. And then what we'll do is we'll put a little bracket that picks up these two bolts and bolts into there, and then that will stop that lever moving like that. That's the plan, so then it should be rigid enough, so sideways movement like that, and then we should be able to actuate the transfer case. So we'll take some measurements, do some cutting and joining, and we'll be back soon to see where we landed up. All right, bit of a collection of clips there. What I've been up to the last couple of months. The first of those was well before Christmas, but here we are, early Feb 26. Last of the update of where we're at. So we've got the engine and transmission mounted, all in there. We put the new injectors in, plus 30 injectors, new fuel lines, new exhaust manifold gaskets, new sealing rings in here. These have a tendency to leak, so new sealing rings. What else? New alternator, new water pump, new pulley, new dampener. What else? I did a timing belt and tensioner. New inlet manifold gaskets. Got the flex plate and the flyweight bolted up to the flywheel, to the crank, sorry, without issue. All the adapter went together as expected, so no problems there. Transfer case adapter went on without issue. Just put a bit of grease, lithium grease or high pressure grease on the spud shaft. Everything's all torqued. All the mountings went in fine. All fit together really well. So this last day or so I've been mucking around with this transfer case lever. So I've had that original bracket made up, checked the cab, clears the cab fine, but we just had to do the finishing touch here because it's still got a bit of sideways movement there, so it needs a bit of bracing. What we'll do is we'll fill this, we'll probably just run a tap through this hole, fill it with some aluminium putty so that's all filled out solid, and then we can drill and tap it with this little 8mm bolt, 8mm hole, and then bolt this through there. Pretty funky little bracket, but that'll do the trick. Just got to get that coated, probably just paint it for now. Had to extend the shafts as well. Just got to tidy up these welds. Just grind all that up nice. But it all works pretty well. Fits in the hole there and goes forward and back enough without fouling on the cab, so that's good. So yeah, like I say, a bit of a collection of videos up to date with where we're at, early Feb 26. Thanks for watching. Next time we'll be looking at bodywork. So that's the next thing. Get all the bodywork repaired. Got to fill some holes and whatnot, but that'll be another video. Cheers for watching.